TG Geeks, episode 89, August 1st, 2016. Imagine Carrie at a boarding school. Hello and welcome to another webcast from tggeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the Two Gay Geeks, talk about all aspects of geekdom and nerdery. Sci-fi, comics, film, horror, genre, you name it, we talk about it. I'm Keith Lane, and we're coming to you from TG Squared Studios in lovely, lightning-y Phoenix, Arizona, or lightning-y last night.
Well, you just stole my thunder.
You stole my thunder.
Because I was about to say, and I'm Ben Raggington, also coming to you from very drenched and very electrified as of Saturday night, July 29th, Phoenix, Arizona.
Friday night.
Friday night?
Friday
Yes,
night. It was Friday night.
It was Friday night.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
Wow.
I think Thor was having just way too much fun with Mew Mew.
It was an incredible
Lightning all
storm.
around.
Oh my gosh!
I haven't seen anything that dramatic in a very long time.
Yeah.
At least not since a Marvel film.
Yeah, and
it was intense.
We were driving around in our new car, so we
car.
drove all the way up north to the 303. If anybody in Phoenix knows where that is,
that's just south of Flagstaff.
Yeah, just south of Flagstaff, and we headed west
to just east of Blythe.
Exactly, and then
Came
south,
down.
and we were just right on the edge of this storm the entire
Most of it,
way.
Yeah, pretty
and
much.
I mean, we would get the blowing, and then we'd get the raining, and then we'd outpace it, and then we'd get more blowing, and then we'd get rain, but lightning was all
lightning
around.
was
Oh my
amazing.
Gosh, it was incredible.
I saw lightning displayed like I have not seen since I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
I mean, and living in Virginia. I mean, I'm talking lightning bolts of enormous size and incredible structure. I haven't seen, forked lightning. Haven't seen that in ages.
Yeah, and it actually made it into Central Phoenix, so it made it past the heat island, dropped 20 some odd degrees in
no
just
time.
minutes.
Yeah, it was pretty intense.
So anyway, with all of that, we've got an interesting interview for you here. We'll talk a little bit about it in the second segment. And this week we have a treat for you. We have the director and co-writer of a film out of Sweden called Alena. And welcome, Daniel Di Grado.
Thank you very much.
So tell us who you are and what you have to do with this film in Sweden. Tell us about the film. And it's from a graphic novel, and you co-wrote the screenplay, and then you directed the film. So tell us a little bit about you and the film to get us started.
Yeah, okay, hi. My name is Daniel, obviously, and, born and raised in Sweden, Stockholm. And I just, I directed this movie called Alena, based on a graphic novel, and it's being released in Sweden in a month or so.
Oh, it hasn't even had its premiere yet?
No, it hasn't had its premiere in Sweden.
Wow.
Wow,
okay.
Didn't know that.
No, yeah.
Okay, so we'll talk about the review that we have later and what we want to do with that. So after the interview here.
Oh, thank you. I came across the graphic novel a couple of years ago. I ended up being in the same team on a horror movie quiz with the writer. And we started talking about the graphic novel hadn't been released yet, and we started talking about it, and we decided, okay, it seems nice, and he sent me a copy of the graphic novel, and I liked it, and then we started to discuss whether or not how to do it, and everything worked out fine. So eventually we made a movie. And it's quite hard to make horror movies in Sweden. We don't do that many. I think the last one we did was Let the Right One In, and that came out in 2008. So,
is that a cultural thing? I mean, the fact that horror movies aren't necessarily that popular there.
I think they are popular, but I think it's more or less the same way I think everywhere in the world, it has a huge underground following. Like a lot of people watch it, but they don't necessarily go and watch them at the movies. It's more in Sweden. It's more like well, when you used to go and rent movies, you rented it and you watched it with friends at home. But now you download it or you watch it on Netflix or HBO or whatever. But so I think there is a huge following of horror movies. But the thing is in Sweden is that we have like a governmental system of financing movies. So it's a small country, Sweden. We only have like 9 million people living there. So you have to apply to get funding to make the movies. And with that said, I think the board who decides which movies are getting made have a tendency not to support horror films, I think.
Interesting.
I don't think it's something that they think, okay, we're not going to support horror films. It's just like there aren't that many good horror films, and I think that is pretty correct statement as well. So
it sounds like they need to talk to Miguel, because Miguel is a big supporter of. He changed our minds on what horror is, and one of the things that one of his big pushes is that horror can be anything. It can. I mean, I boiled it down to it can be something as simple as something unexpected happens in a film, or something that is a great surprise to you in a film.
Yeah.
So it can be horror, and it's whatever gets that adrenaline pumping, and it's that shock or whatever. So maybe they don't
totally
understand. Maybe they don't understand what true horror is, because there's been so many bad horror films, slasher, kind of ugly films.
Yeah,
so,
but I can like a slasher once in a while as well. So
every once in a while.
The thing is with horror, it's like you said, or like Miguel said, horror can be anything, and everything that gets your attention and gets you to feel stuff, I think is a horror film. So and it could be like artsy horror, it could be slasher.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It could be like, and my favorite horror film, it's Jaws, and I don't think it's conceived as a horror film. But I think it's an amazing movie in all aspects. So
yeah, we just we're mainlining the new Stranger Things that came out on Netflix today, and oh my gosh, it's
good.
Oh,
it's amazing.
Fabulous. Oh my god!
I haven't had the chance because I saw the trailer or the teaser like a month ago, and I was like blown away because It looks amazing.
It is really incredible.
We got 4 episodes down.
Yeah, we've already got to half of it. We just got it.
I have to see it.
I think you'll really enjoy it. I think you'll really enjoy it. It's a fantastic show. So now you had said that you had been working on something else prior to Alena, and that was also a horror project, you said?
Yeah. The thing is, I've been working on several horror films. I'm a big horror buff fan. I love horror, and I think it's fun to direct, and it's fun to watch, and I tried to do. Now I'm currently working on a movie called Cannibals, and the working title is Cannibals, but it's not about cannibals. It's about werewolves set in the 80s, and so I've been trying to set that off in Sweden for like at least 6 or 8 years.
Oh my!
And I've been having a difficulty to actually get the finance going of it, but hopefully things will change now, and I will be able to do it in a year or two.
Right.
But the thing is, I've been trying to make horror films for at least 10 years,
wow.
And before that, I had 2 other projects that I wanted to do. So it is difficult to get all the financing in place, because we need so many bricks to actually finance the movie in Sweden. It's not if you have like a studio film, I guess, not that I'm an expert, but I think you can actually find the finance on one place. Whereas in our way, we have to have like the Swedish Film Institute. You have to have at least one of the channels, the big channels, and there's a lot of like regional support groups and stuff like that. So it's very hard to actually to make a movie in Sweden. But I guess it's the same everywhere, so I don't think we're unique in that way.
Let me. I'm. That is really puzzling. So, do you have to have the government's approval to make a film? Is that what I'm understanding?
No, I wouldn't say, but
to get it financed, I guess is what you're saying.
Yeah, the thing is, the government has. We have the Swedish Film Institute, which is supported by the government, but the government don't make decisions which movies are getting made. It's the board, and they don't have to report to the government. But as soon as there are like a lot of commercial movies or a lot of really artsy-fartsy movies or whatever, there's always a debate in the papers, and then the government says, oh, we have to do more artistic movies, so we have to do more commercially workable movies. So there's always this debate, but they don't interfere at all. They just decide who is the head of the Swedish Film Institute. Then, on the other hand, the Swedish Film Institute picks the consulants, the board members who decide whether or not your movie is getting made or not. So,
if you had independent financing, could you make a film?
Yeah, I guess you could, but it's harder to, because you need because the fund, it used to be so anyway, because if you could get like 1/3 of the budget from the Swedish Film Institute, and those are money that you don't have to pay back. So if your movie costs like, say, $3 million, and you get $1 million from the government, your movie only have to surpass $2 million to break even. So it's an interesting system in many ways, because it's sort of like they give you like 1/3 of the budget, and you can, and so the other financiers are more interested to be part of it if you have the institute with you, because you need distribution, and there's a lot of small sacks of money that you have to sort of like put in your big bag.
Yeah, so I guess if you wanted to just make a film without their money, I suppose that you could do that, or do you have, or is it permit wise that you have to do certain things like that, or?
No. You can do it. If you have a camera, you can go out and shoot it by yourself.
All right. So it's more a finance thing.
Exactly.
I see.
Yeah, and the hardest thing is always to find distribution anyway.
Right. Okay. It was just, that was kind of puzzling. It kind of sounded like, oh wow. But I guess if you're financing is the biggest part of a film sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it is.
So, you wanted to answer?
I actually, now that question's kind of silly to even bring up. But what I was going to say is, and this is kind of a weird question to ask, so please forgive me. Have you ever thought about making a movie in another country?
Yes. I would love to make movies in another country, and I come from a television background, and I've been shooting both commercials and television series abroad, and I would love to do a movie, for example, in the US. It would be amazing to do a movie in the US. And I think a lot of directors around the world would love to do that, because you're brought up on American films and American television. You can't sort of like, that's the thing that's what there is out there, more or less.
Well, because one of the things that Keith and I have become very acutely aware of lately is the wonderful legacy of horror films that have come out of Italy.
Yeah, and out of Spain. I think a lot of the, especially the last like 20 years or so, or even go further back, you had like the Korean horror scene, and you had the Japanese horror scene.
Oh yes,
that broke into international success a couple of years, and then you had like The Orphanage, that was a Spanish movie which I loved, and so there are a lot of horror, and especially like you say, Italy has an amazing tradition with the giallo scene, with Dario Argento and Mario Bava and all those cool directors from the 60s and 70s.
Yeah. Oh, and their movies are incredible to watch. I mean, it's like you need to drop some acid in order to watch them, and because they're almost psychedelic in a horror sort of way. I mean, they're just so artsy.
Yeah, they're super artsy and they're super weird, and they actually, I think a lot, especially the Dario Argento movies, they feel like this weird cross between like Brian De Palma movie mixed with art.
Right. So, that I know, I have never heard it put better. That sounds very accurate, because it does have a lot of the Brian De Palma sort of sensibility and even some of the imagery, but just with a greater artistic flair.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah. So, but yeah, I love those movies, and especially there are so many. I think the music in some of the movies are awesome. Like, I think Ennio Morricone wrote a couple of scores for Argento that are spectacular, and also the Goblin scores from a lot of his movies are phenomenal and really, really cool to listen at. Especially there's one called Profondo Rosso. I think it's called Deep Red in the US, the movie, and the soundtrack that Goblin did for that is amazing. It's well worth to listen at. I think you can find it on Spotify. And, but it's super nice.
Yeah. One movie that Keith and I saw, and everybody who's ever talked to us know, we always jump back to this one particular film we saw last year at Horrible Imaginings, and the American title is Cemetery Man, starring Rupert Everett.
Yeah. It's Lamberto Bava, isn't it?
Yes.
With Rupert Everett?
With Rupert Everett.
The
British. Yeah. And not only is it just visually beautiful, but you reminded me on how phenomenal that score is. I had forgotten. I mean, it's like it has this almost 60s kind of proggy rock vibe to it, but still kind of classical. I mean, it's just like the whole scene is a head trip. And to me, it seems like that would be fertile ground, especially if you really wanted to just, plant your roots in the horror tradition and just go hog wild and be able to explore all different kinds of avenues of horror there.
Yeah, and I think Alena, if I've circled back to that, I was very inspired by the Giallo scene for that movie, and when it comes to music, it's quite fun because we redid the soundtrack like 3 times on that movie. Oh, wow. Because my initial idea was to have it like a very Italian kind of vibe to it. I wanted it to sound like the old great masters from Italian music, like Ennio Morricone and the one from the 60s and 70s.
Right.
Yeah, but we couldn't nail it because my Swedish composers, it only sounded like we were sort of like copying Italian music, and it didn't feel right. We couldn't sort of like get the right vibe to it. So then we moved a different path. And we went very minimalistic with the music, but then it became too artsy-fartsy, in my opinion. So, and it wasn't scary at all. It just felt like this, I don't know, like this Eastern European kind of kids show from the 60s. So we said, okay, let's just go full Hollywood. So that's why the score is like it is, with like strings and violins and stuff like that.
Yeah. I can just see it. Mom, can I watch this movie? It's a kids movie. Oh, what's it called? Alena. Yeah, great kids movie. Sure.
Yeah. So, it's a lesbian horror film.
That's a lesbian horror flick, right?
Oh dear. So how you said that you had been talking with the writer of the graphic novel. How did you get associated with him, and how did that come about? And
well, a mutual friend of ours, she's a writer as well. She used to have like a movie quiz in Sweden where you sort of like, and she said, okay, I need another team, and could you participate? And I said, yeah, sure, I can be part of one of the teams. And then she said, who else is in the teams? And there's 2 comic book writers. You don't know them, but you will love them. So we ended up in the same team at this movie quiz, and we ended third place, so I'm pretty happy with that. But that's how we come together, and we started talking about doing stuff, and we've been talking about a lot of stuff actually. He's actually coming out now with another graphic novel called Astrid, and it's sort of like a Barbarella in space, a Swedish Barbarella thing.
Wow!
And it's being released in the U.S. actually, and Alena as well. It's coming out on Dark Horse in the fall.
Oh, cool! So
yes.
The film is going to open, and then it will be here at Horrible Imaginings, and then the graphic novel. Wow. It's just everything all of a sudden.
We're very psyched about that. Yeah, we're very psyched about that. But the Astrid comic, you have to read that. It's amazing. It's so fun, and it's about this Barbarella kind of heroine in space who's a bit on the heavy side, but it's very fun. And
I have to see that now. Now, you brought up the graphic novel for Alena, and you reminded me of something that I saw. I read some of it. I was able to see some of the panels on the movie website, and what astonished me is how well the movie, in terms of some of the scenes and some of the characters, so closely mimic what is in the graphic novel. Was this a deliberate attempt to actually really try to make that graphic novel come to life?
No, well, of course, but I think graphic novels is a different medium in so many ways, and it's like with literature. But the thing is, what I wanted to do, I wanted to have like 4 shots of the graphic novel that I wanted to duplicate in the movie to be like the exact same shot. And I think there's one when Josephine, Alena's friend, raises one of the knives and tries to stab Fabienne. That was one of the shots. And there's another one in the hospital when she's picking roses that I wanted to do exactly as it was, with color-wise and everything in the comic, in the movie. But when it comes to the casting, I think it's more of a coincidence, I think, because I tried and look. We casted it for quite some time to actually find the right actors for it, and so yeah, I think it's not deliberate, but the comic book writer, he was very closely involved in the movie making, so I wanted to have him close to me when we were shooting the film to run by, because we made some really big changes in the movie, whereas that's quite different from the ones that in the comic. For example, we made all of the characters female. In the comic, there's I think the love interest is a guy, and so I wanted it to just have like girls in the movie and not dudes. So that was my big contribution to the script, and also I wanted not to spoil anything, but we made some differences in the end, whereas it's a lot different in the comic than it is in the movie actually.
Okay, it'd be interesting to see what the graphic novel looks like whenever. That comes out.
But it's stylistically it's an amazing graphic novel, and of course you get very inspired, and we try to color-wise we were inspired by the graphic novel, even though we were not sort of like trying to copying it frame by frame like Zack Snyder did with the Watchmen adaptation. I wanted it to be more freely in my approach, even though I wanted it to be a close relative to the graphic novel.
Now, you had said that you were drawn to this graphic novel. What was it about the story itself that got your attention and made you want to film it? What was the heart of that story that made you say, I want to do this?
I think it were actually 3 things that got me into it. I love the idea of running around with a scissor and hacking up people. I thought that could be fun to do.
Okay. Yes, because that's always great on a Saturday night.
No. The two of the key things was we don't have boarding schools in Sweden, and so everything is more or less public schools. I think there are like 2 boarding schools, but very, very posh. And so I was very interested in that kind of world, to sort of like create a boarding school environment that was inspired by my idea of how it was to go to boarding school.
Right.
So that was one thing that I thought was interesting. And then I sort of like, I was drawn to Alena, the character, because what I loved about her is that she is so twisted and demented in so many ways, but so nice in others.
So innocent at times.
Yeah. So it was interesting. She was like an interesting character, in my opinion, to sort of like try and understand and try to sort of like justify in the movie version. So I think that and the boarding school environment were like the 2 things, and of course to actually be able to do a horror film in Sweden, and which is something I've been trying to do for like ages. So yeah.
Did you? Was it an attempt on your part to give emphasis to the aspect of school bullying, or was that actually already in the graphic novel itself? Because bullying is a really big issue here in America right now, and there's a lot of effort being made to try and stomp that, because bullying in schools is very bad and has been a leading cause of youth suicide. So
yeah, but I think it's the same everywhere in the world, actually, and there's always been bullying in schools, I think. And of course I got this question because we premiered the movie in Sitges Film Festival, a horror festival, and I got one of the questions I got after the screening was like, is bullying a big thing in Sweden? Because in Let the Right One In, it's always also bullying. And I was like, yeah, maybe, but I think it's the same. I think it's the same everywhere, and I think it's a problem in all kinds of societies, especially when you are different and you stand out. You get the attention of people who are, I don't know, mean and afraid and prejudice and whatever, and so yeah, the bullying part was in the comic, and the bullying part was part of my growing up as a kid as well. So I think bullying is something that everybody has a relationship to, even though you're not the one who's being bullied or the one who's doing the bullying. But as a young person going to school, you see how others get bullied, and so you're a quiet bystander or whatever, but it's something that you have a relationship with. And so yeah, of course it was important to try and make a comment on that, but it wasn't the primarily idea behind everything. But then of course it's always fun to actually have someone who is bullied to fight back, and I always think this always like a refreshing kind of view to that, I think. And but the fun part, I think, with Alena is that Filippa, the evil counterpart, she's the only one who actually is right about Alena, because she knows her. She knows where everything is going.
Yeah, it's
right.
true.
Yeah.
So it's pretty funny.
So I guess that means that bullying can actually serve as very good fuel for creating a horror story. Then,
yeah, I think so.
Because as you said, it gives your I don't know if I would say that Alena is the protagonist, because she does have that dark side, but it certainly gives her some plenty of cause to want to go out and seek retribution, I suppose, without giving anything away.
Yeah. I always saw her as the protagonist, because I thought she is in one way, but she's also like, she's not that super easy to identify with, I guess. unless you, the only thing I think that you actually can identify is the bullying part, because she's just trying to be part of the cool group or be part of some kind of group in her new environment in the school. So yeah, but I think bullying is an amazing hunting ground for horrors. I think you can make. I think there's a lot of stories out there still to be told when it comes to bullying and horror movies. Most definitely, and I think it could be something for future directors to sort of like dive into. I think that would be interesting. I would certainly go and pay a ticket to see that.
So you said that it is going to have the premiere next month. Is that correct? And is that in Sweden?
Yeah, in August, the 19th of August in Sweden.
Okay, so then you're going to be what day is it? Saturday.
It's a Friday.
Night.
No, it's a Friday.
Well, I mean, Horrible Imaginings. I think Saturday night or Saturday afternoon is when Alena premieres at Horrible Imaginings. I don't know. Did Miguel give you the schedule on that?
No, I haven't seen the schedule, and I would love to actually be able to come there. We haven't talked about it yet, but I would love to actually go to the festival.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure yet, and I don't want to make any promises. But it really depends on whether or not I'm actually have other business over there as well. But it might come to that I actually will be there, because it's in the Horrible Imagining is in September, yeah, right?
Yes, it's September. I'll tell you exactly the date. It's 17th through 20. What is it? 7th through the 12th.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hopefully I'll be able to swing by, and I would love to because Miguel he actually seeked me out and asked if he could show the movie, and I was very flattered about from his email and everything. So
right, and he said that you had another short that is
actually Alena is based on a short. It started out as a short. We made a short version of it, and when that was. My intention the whole time was actually to do a feature of it, but the financing I got was for a short. So we made it. The movie costed only $500,000, I think, or
wow, that's cheap.
Yeah.
But we did a feature. I had my feature script, and that was the one I was working from. But then there's a cut down version of the movie, sort of like half the movie.
Ooh.
That we did as well for a scheme that we have in Sweden called Moving Sweden, which is quite interesting, where they sort of like finance and support new ways of telling stories and new genres in when it comes to Swedish movies anyway. So.
Oh, good heavens. Yeah. I can't imagine how you would cut anything out of that movie.
Yeah, and
there's a lot of stuff that ended up on the cutting room floor.
Oh, dear.
And Miguel said that you had another short film that you produced, First Like. It's
my producer who directed it, and he made a movie called First Like. We shot it in one day, and he's a fantastic guy, my producer Alexander, and actually we're doing a follow-up to that. We start shooting it in October or something. And hopefully we're going to shoot it in Spain, and he's going to direct it and write it, and I'm going to produce it as well. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun to sort of like change sides in a while. And he's going to produce my next movie in Sweden as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I try to help him and produce his stuff, and he produces my stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
So Alena is screening on Saturday, September 10th at 2:32 p.m. and that's in the LGBT block, and we are actually the sponsors of that block of films.
Oh, cool.
So there's 2 short films before it, and then Alena.
So naturally, we have a vested interest in it.
Yes, exactly. And that's why Miguel wanted us to hook up with you and talk to you. Well,
yeah.
and
I'm
because
super flattered that you would actually.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
Well,
Thank
I
you
don't
so
want to
much.
give I don't want to give too much away because I
Right.
do because I don't want to say too much right now, but
we
yeah,
did like the film.
Yeah,
so.
I'll say it. We liked it, but I don't want to go any beyond that because I've got a review.
Yeah,
It'll
of
come
course.
out when it'll come out. Now, I'm curious because everybody seems to have a different take when it comes to horror films. What is it about horror that you find so absolutely tantalizing?
I don't know. I think it's, for me it comes to when I was a kid. You know, I was very afraid of the dark as a kid, and really, really afraid of the dark. And then at one point, I sort of got fed up with that, and I had this idea that I had to sort of like fight my fears at the gate. So I started watching a lot of horror films as a kid.
Therapy.
Trying to sort of like, and it didn't went too well in the beginning, but eventually, yeah, eventually it started to work actually. And what I like about it is that everything is possible, and I also like that with every scream and with every sort of like pumping adrenaline rush that you have, laughter is so close at hand, you know.
Right.
Yeah, and that is one thing that I love about horror, because when you get really, really scared, your impulse is to sort of like laugh about it the second after. And that is something that I always been drawn to, which I think is amazing in so many ways. But then of course not all horror films are the ones that you laugh to. I think you're a pretty sick person if you start laughing at the Mikael Haneke movie. But when it comes to other, like, I don't know, you know, the jump scares and those kind of
Well, I think a lot of people call them like schlock films. The schlock horror films. I mean, there's that sense of uneasy laughter that kind of goes along with it.
Well, some of the best horror films that we've seen
are comedies.
Have been comedy horrors. So,
have you done a comedy horror, or have you thought of doing one?
No, not really actually. Even though the movie that I would like to do, the one that I'm trying to do, the cannibal movie, it has elements of comedy in it, but I wouldn't say it is a comedy in that sense. But I think it's more. No, I can't say I have actually, because no, to say no, I haven't. But I would love to do it though. If there's something that I thought was fun, I would actually love to do a comedy, because I've never done a comedy either. So that would be awesome to actually be able to do a comedic movie of some sort to make people laugh. I think that would be cool.
Yeah. So comedy horror is kind of a cathartic thing. You have the horror and then you laugh about it. So.
Yeah. I think it could work. Like the Scream movies worked really well. I think. Yeah. And also, a couple of like American Werewolf in London, which is a movie that I love.
Oh yes.
Right.
Yeah. Has some really funny elements in it.
Oh, absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah, it's not to be taken too seriously. So what? I guess what I want to know is, what is it about? Now, obviously, you have a love for film. You've had it, for a long time, and you've managed to, by watching horror films, conquer some of your own fears. Like I said, it's therapy. I mean, why do you need to pay a bunch of money to see a psychiatrist or a psychologist when all you got to do is just buy a horror flick and scare yourself half to death? But is that the sort of the same line of reasoning as to why you chose to become I guess primarily a horror filmmaker at this time?
The fun thing about being a movie director, or being a director per se, is to you still stuck on the playground. That's what you are, because I think the toys are a bit more expensive, but essentially you're still role playing, you're still investigating, and especially you're controlling the game, which I loved to do when I was a kid, saying like, oh, you are, when I played a lot of cowboys and Indians as a kid, you are the Indians, you are the cowboys, and I'm sort of like the game master. So, and then of course I think if you deal with your fears through your work and deal with your insecurities and your traumas at work, you don't have to relive them privately. So I think it's quite healthy to actually work in that, because I have a very dark imagination. I everything that I write and everything that I work on has a tendency to sort of like be drawn to the darker side of things. But so I think David Lynch actually, no, not David Cronenberg actually said that it's very healthy, like you said before. Like you don't need a psychiatrist. You can actually just make movies and deal with your fears and traumas, and instead of going out with a scissor in hand and raving and giving hell to people around you. I think it's better to make movies in that sense.
So I guess that means have you managed to conquer all your fears then?
No, I wouldn't say. But hopefully I will. By the time I stop doing this, hopefully I have, and I can be this old nice dude sitting on a under a orange tree and peeling oranges. And
okay. So then this now begs the next question: what kind of horror films do you feel you need to make in order to reach that stage?
Oh, yeah. Oh, geez, difficult question. I would love to actually I would love to do a horror film that deals with like a family of consistent, like how do you call how do you say the family? I'm losing words now. I'm so sorry.
Okay. It's too early in the morning.
No, yeah. Well,
and you haven't had your coffee yet.
No, I haven't. And no, the thing is that I would like to do a movie about a typical family. You know, the horrors that happens in a typical family, like consisting of like brothers and sisters and moms and dads and stuff like that.
So dysfunctional family.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a dysfunctional family, but it is a dysfunctional family. But I would love to actually make a movie about a family that is perceived as not dysfunctional, but actually is more dysfunctional than the dysfunctional family.
Basically your average family in the United States, you know.
Exactly. That is something I would really like to do.
That could be a horror film most any place.
Yeah. I mean, all you got to do is just peek behind the curtain, and yeah, you'll see a lot of skeletons there.
Yeah. And also, I would like to do a horror film about the decisions you make as a parent raising your kid, and someone who's making all the wrong decisions and therefore creating this evil person or something like that. That would also be fun to investigate and look into in the future.
Something like Carrie, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Her mother was
very
her mother was nuts.
to Alena. I think Kim, the writer who wrote the book, he was very inspired by Carrie.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I can see the similarities.
Yeah, I kind of saw that.
There's a lot of similarities.
And
yeah, he was super inspired by Carrie, so.
Well, I'm intrigued about seeing the film again on the big screen.
Very much
and
so.
Also, hopefully, the graphic novel will be out at the same time the film is, and maybe you could have a little tie-in, in San Diego
or something
for
like that.
Horrible Imaginings. Yeah,
fantastic.
That would be great.
That would be great. But yeah.
So I guess to close things up, if anybody wants to know more about you or know more about movies that you are working on, do you have any presence on any websites or any type of social media by which people can follow you and your work?
Yeah, I'm not one of those who's very active on social media. I have like Facebook and Instagram. That's more or less what I use. But if you go into those pages, you might find something that I'm working on. Who knows? I'm not that big on posting stuff on social media, but I think I have to be better on that. Yeah.
And how can they find you there? Just look up Daniel Di Grado?
It's Daniel Di Grado, and I think I'm open both on Facebook and on Instagram. I'm not so private.
You're not a Twitterer, huh?
No, I'm not a Twitterer, even though, do you Twitter, you guys?
Yeah.
Do you Twitter?
That sounds like such a bad word sometimes.
we have several Twitter accounts, yes.
Is it fun? I never tried it. You just like write sentences that are like 140
characters.
140 characters, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
We do it a lot of posting our articles that we post, so they automatically tweet out on Twitter, cool. And then there's a link there so they can follow the link and go to our article, our website, and look at the article. So
yeah, but I sometimes like to put out tweets about what I'm doing,
silly things.
Yeah, like 4:00 in the morning when you watch the news or something like that.
Exactly.
Oh God! Well, actually, yeah, I have done that. Where I complain about how bleak and depressing the world is. Yeah, so yeah, on occasion, but most of the time it's just like, oh yay, it's another day at work. You're just totally mundane stuff like that.
So do you have a website for Alena, and then?
Yeah, we have a website. You can actually go and watch SylviaEntertainment.com. SylviaEntertainment.com is the company that produced Alena, and it's the same company that produced First Like as well, and that's doing the upcoming horror film with that we are doing as well. Me and Alexander, my producer, and I. So we do a lot of our stuff through that company, and there you find news and information on, even though the web page isn't that updated, but we will try to be better at posting stuff there and information, but there you can go there to see what's happening with me and the things that I'm doing.
Okay. Well, great. Well, thank you, Daniel Di Grado, for being on the show this week.
It's been a joy.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah. It was a joy talking to you.
No, it was. It's mutual. So thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Christian Hotko, writer and actor of Morning After, and you are listening to the Two Gay Geeks podcast.
And that's the birthdays. We have a few selected birthdays for August 1st through August the 7th, 2016. August 1st, Jason Momoa.
Who will be Aquaman. And do you know who Aquaman's mother is?
Aquamartha.
Aquamartha. That's right.
Yeah. Also, August 1st, Dom DeLuise. August 2nd, Wes Craven. Joanna Cassidy.
For you Blade Runner fans.
Yeah. And Jack Warner, 1892. August 3rd, Tony Bennett,
and
still
he's
going
still
strong.
Going.
Yep. Martin Sheen, John Landis, and Martha Stewart.
Who's Martha Stewart?
She writes picture books about
gracious living.
Yes.
And I'm not about to ask who Anne Francis is.
Not
Ann Miller.
Ann Miller.
Yeah.
Leave this house.
Yeah.
For you Jeffrey fans. August 4th, Louis Satchmo Armstrong and Percy Bysshe Shelley. August the 5th, Neil Armstrong. And just because I love this guy's name, and I don't know why I know him, because I read the Wikipedia entry, and it's like, I don't have a clue. Guy de Maupassant, 1850.
Very well.
And he was the master of the short story, and his stories are only second to Shakespeare's in adaptation for films. Actually, one of them, that film that he influenced, one of his stories influenced, was Citizen Kane, and a Gene Roddenberry
I'd like
story.
to know what the Roddenberry story was.
It was for, Quester.
The Quester tapes?
Yeah. It was one of the stories in there. So, interesting little thing. But I still can't remember why I know his name. Anyway. August the 6th, Lucille Ball, Andy Warhol, Robert Mitchum, and M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong.
That's for you, Sam Roberts.
Yeah. August the 7th, David Duchovny, Garrison Keillor, and Gertrude Marguerite Zell, also known as Mata Hari, who was born in 1856. And that should do it for the birthdays this time.
This is Kenny Rotter from the Dumbbells and Dragons podcast, where nerd and fitness collide. Join me and a guest every Wednesday for a new episode where we talk about all things nerdy, pop culture, and health and fitness. Follow me on all social media at Dumbbells Dragon or just search Dumbbells and Dragons. Work out, nerd out.
Go give a listen to our friend Kenny over at Dumbbells and Dragons. And now,
we have just a little bit of feedback. First one is regarding the story we ran last week about how the new Star Trek series has a title as well as a new teaser. And good old friend, I was thrilled to see him comment on this. Paul Reed, yes, you wonderful wizard, you. He actually left a comment asking, have they officially stated yet which timeline this series takes place in? And I did write back to him and said, yeah, we do know that it's in what we call Prime Universe. So the TOS, TNG, Voyager, Enterprise timeline, then all that time. And he then added, or Paul continued, the ship design really doesn't make sense to put somewhere in the middle of the timeline. It is a vastly different design that seems like it would be somewhere in the future of that timeline. Well, I don't know what quite to say to that because we don't know anything about when this series is taking place yet. All we know is that it's in the Prime timeline. We hear that it might be before the original series. It might be before TNG. We don't know. It might be after Nemesis. We don't know. So we're just going to have to wait. And then we got a lovely reply from Miguel Rodriguez. We interviewed in episode 87. And he just simply, pleasantly writes, a pleasure as always, my friends. And I would just simply say, for anybody who has the opportunity to go to Horrible Imaginings,
do it.
Please do it, and go up and chat up with Miguel, because he is such a nice guy and a fountain of movie trivia.
Yes.
He knows his stuff. Then we didn't get much in the way of actual feedback on episode 88 where we interviewed Patricia Chica, but there were a lot of comments about us that were sprinkled throughout Facebook, and I picked out two. One is from Lost in Salvation. I believe that's a movie. And they simply wrote, listen to Patricia Chica's exclusive interview with the great TG Geeks of TG Squared Studios about our participation at the Fantasia International Film Festival with Crimson Dance and the pre-production of Morning After. We appreciate that.
Yes.
And we, of course, Patricia had to say something, and she says, hello, everyone. Surprise! A full episode of the TG Squared Studios podcast just about Crimson Dance. Wow, wow.
Yes, thank you, Patricia.
Thank you, Patricia, and it was.
And thank you for talking to us.
Oh
yes.
yeah, it was wonderful talking to you.
It was great. We wanted to do something special for your new film, especially since it has a really personal message.
Oh, absolutely.
So we want to know what you think of our podcasts and our episodes, our stories, our everything that we do, our tweets, anything else that you might come up with, the paperly that we publish every day. So you can comment on our episode. You can comment on Facebook as TG Squared Studios, or you can look us up at tggeeks.com. You can also find us on Twitter at the Two Gay Geeks and TG Geeks, as well as TG Squared Studios. And you can comment on our episodes and articles that we publish. You can even comment on our YouTube episodes, and you could receive a shout-out at a future episode, or you can call our listener feedback line, and we'll play your comment on air. 469-TG-GEEKS, that is 469-844-3357.
Hello, this is Miguel Rodriguez, director of the Horrible Imaginings Film Festival, and you are listening to the Two Gay Geeks podcast.
Well, for the second segment, we have a bit of a hot story here. We just ran it on our website moments before we started recording. and that is it's about the Avengers Infinity War. Now, everybody has been saying how, in fact, it was even announced by Kevin Feige a couple of years ago that this movie was going to be 2 parts. First part would be in May of 2018, with part 2 in May of 2019, and that the Russo brothers were going to be filming this thing back to back. Not anymore, because there was a schedule change announced from Disney late yesterday, as of this recording, so late Friday, said that the second film in the planned 2-parter will no longer be called Avengers Infinity War Part 2. Instead, that project has simply been renamed as an untitled Avengers film. And what the studio is going to do is that the Part 1 will now be the entire Infinity War.
And it'll be 17 hours long.
It'll have to be. I mean, the Infinity War is of enormous scope here.
It will go on for infinity.
It will. Oh, so that's the whole idea. Well, if that's the
never
case,
ending.
well, then the Russo brothers will never get a chance to actually do Part 2 or the
Exactly.
untitled film. I'm kind of really surprised by this. I mean, while there's something kind of neat about having the story all wrapped up in one big shot, I don't think this is a good move.
Yeah, I think because they're going to have to at least, they can't go more than 2 hours 30.
Absolutely.
2:45.
I mean,
at most.
Oh, at the absolute most. I mean, I expect that when they put this thing out on home video, then they can really just load in all the stuff they had to cut.
Yeah, but
very much in a
my
Peter Jackson
Lord.
move.
I wonder. Yeah, wow. It sounds like they're going to sacrifice some story.
I think they're going to not only sacrifice stories, I think this is also going to give them an excuse to sacrifice characters and not bring them in the first place. I was just thinking, wow, this is a great opportunity for them to not put anybody, or to dodge the whole issue of not having any of the Netflix characters show up. Because in the beginning, when this was very first proposed, we kept hearing, oh, it's all connected, and when we get to Infinity War, everybody's going to be in it. And we're all excited. We're thinking, wow, wouldn't it be great to see Daredevil or Iron Fist, those guys, playing their part in the Infinity War. Well, not anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, it looks like it's only going to focus on the Avengers themselves. So I wonder if this is part business move, part creative move. Anyway,
Who knows?
I'm a little bummed by it, but that's the way it is.
Well,
Yeah. Now we got something on Alena, being that
yes.
that we just interviewed Daniel Di Grado.
yeah. This movie is going to have its debut in Sweden on August the 19th. We're running the interview a little early, but we do have a review that we will post on our website on the 18th, since they're just a bit ahead of us time-wise, so that way it will coincide with the debut in Sweden. And also the graphic novel that inspired the film, or inspired Daniel to make the film, that's going to be released here in the States by Dark Horse Comics on August the 24th.
So why was the purpose of interviewing Daniel?
Well, that was because Miguel Rodriguez put us together.
Yay, Miguel!
And that was because the
Well,
film is going to be featured during the LGBT block of films on Saturday afternoon.
Aha.
Now, we're sponsoring that LGBT block, and he wanted to give us an opportunity to talk to Daniel about the film, and that's going to be at Horrible Imaginings Film Festival in San Diego. And hopefully, cross our fingers, we're in talks, or Miguel is in talks with the graphic novel artist and writer Kim Anderson. That's right, Kim Anderson, and also Dark Horse Comics, and they might have some of those comics at Horrible Imaginings.
Oh, that'd be great
to have during the screening of the film.
That'd be fantastic.
So that'd be great. So cross our fingers. I hope I didn't let the cat out of the bag on that, but that's something that they're in talks about. So I'm not saying they're doing it, but we'll see.
We'll see. Now, a couple of days ago, some very sad news. That was the passing of Jerry Doyle, a.k.a. Michael Mr. Garibaldi from Babylon 5.
Yeah.
This came as an
a shock.
enormous shock to everybody. Now, yet he did have some health issues a number of years ago where he nearly died, and then I just found out reading a story on this on Friday that he endured a really, really bad mugging while he was in Germany that left him temporarily with amnesia as well as a metal plate in his head. So everybody's just really distressed by this. I saw a beautiful video tribute by Patricia Tallman saying that, I mean, she just really couldn't talk about it at the present time, and she was just wanting to let people know that, yeah, they are thinking about Jerry, they miss him, and, as they process this, they will then finally be able to give their thoughts. Now, there is a beautiful article that was written by, or a column that was written by Joe Straczynski about his interactions with Jerry Doyle. And I won't read the whole thing. We will make this story. We'll put the link for it on our show notes. But there are some very funny things that I just a number of things I'll quote here. One that made me completely laugh is that politically, he said that Jerry was just to the right of Attila the Hun, which, if anybody who's ever listened to Jerry Doyle speak, that's absolutely true. And that there was a line in Babylon 5 where Garibaldi suggests that the way to deal with crime is to go from electric chairs to electric bleachers. And that line was so Jerry Doyle because Jerry actually said it during lunch, during a lunch break during the show.
And Joe
stole it. Yeah. So, but and I would say that a lot of people who knew Jerry, like Bill Mooney and others who obviously politically disagreed with him, still loved the guy enormously.
Well, he was one of those guys that his political leanings didn't interfere with his interactions with other people.
Well, I think there's a lesson to be learned just from the way
Exactly.
Jerry conducted his life, but I don't want to get into that. Just simply say that everybody who knew him said he was just such a sweet and wonderful individual, and that's now five people that we've now lost. First there was Richard Biggs, then Michael O'Hare. Well, actually no. Then it was Andreas Katsoulis, then Jeff Conaway, then Michael O'Hare, and now Jerry. So that's 6 that are now gone. And as it was once said in one of the Babylon 5 little theatrical movie releases, he's now off exploring the rim.
Yep, beyond the rim.
Beyond the rim. And I saw a beautiful, snapshot. It's of Jakar handing Garibaldi a copy of the Book of Jaquan.
Oh, my.
It's gorgeous. And he said, here's the Book of Jaquan. Michael, Richard, Jerry, and I will be waiting to give your debriefing.
Oh, wow.
And it was such a beautiful thing. And it makes it, kind of fills my eyes with tears when I share that. But yeah, I think it's time to do another B5 marathon just to remember just to remember Jerry Doyle.
Yeah. Wow. How do you follow that up?
Well, there's a calendar.
There's a calendar. Yeah, we do have a calendar on our website for items such as birthdays. And for friends of the show, and I missed 2 birthdays last week, Graham Denman on the 28th, and he was Clowntown with Clowntown.
Oh, yes.
And also our wonderful friend that we've known forever, Brendan Mahoney, today on the 30th. So a happy birthday to you guys. And if you know of a con or a film festival or something, let us know. We'll put it on the calendar or a birthday, and I'll try to remember to look at that. As you know, every week we're talking about independent creators or doing something or pushing a new film or whatever, or a new comic book or graphic novel.
Well, there's a reason, because these independent creators, if we're talking about an independent writer, that, tomorrow, today's independent writer could tomorrow be another Arthur C. Clarke, or today's independent filmmaker could be tomorrow's Martin Scorsese. You never know.
Or anybody. I mean, like the guys that did Stranger Things. I mean,
absolutely, the Duffer Brothers.
Looks like they were independent filmmakers before they ever.
I mean, they did a couple little things here and there, but Stranger Things was their huge, big series breakout.
Yeah. So it's important to look at independent filmmakers, independent creators, independent comic book artists, graphic novels, artists, writers, etc. check them out.
There's tons of talent.
If they have something going on and you're able to give to a GoFundMe or a Kickstarter campaign or a
Indiegogo,
anything,
any kind of crowdfunding.
Anything helps. The smallest amount does help.
Absolutely.
So please support the independent creators out there. And speaking of, we want to tell you about Horrible Imaginings Film Festival in San Diego, September 7th through the 12th at the Museum of Photographic Arts in lovely Balboa Park, San Diego.
And I believe we're planning to be there all the time.
We will be there for the full run of the film festival. And this film festival is not to be missed. We're sponsoring the LGBT block of films on Saturday afternoon. And Wednesday through Friday is evening only, and Saturday and Sunday are all day.
And when you say it's not to be missed, you're not joking, because
my
I
gosh.
was blown away by the quality of the films, both feature length and short, that we saw last year.
We saw some incredible shorts and some incredibly funny, horrible horror shorts.
Wonderful,
oh
wonderful
my gosh.
stuff. Sanguine craving.
Yes, exactly. And Invaders.
Invaders.
You can find that on YouTube.
Hilarious.
Find Invaders. Oh my gosh, what a hilarious piece. Anyway, check it out. There are tickets available at hifilmfest.com. And check out our interview with Miguel Rodriguez, the
Director, curator, elder god.
Yep, in episode 87. Phoenix Comic-Con has announced FanFest 16. Still don't have any guests yet.
Nothing yet. They've been very quiet about that. I was a bit surprised.
Yeah, October 22nd and 23rd, downtown Phoenix at the Convention Center. More information soon. Check out phoenixcomiccon.com. And for you people that are year-round Halloween fans, Keen Halloween, Phoenix, September 23rd and 24th at the Convention Center. Find out more at keenhalloween.com.
Must give special acknowledgement to the Doctor Who Fancast Guide. That is something which gets published anywhere from every day to every other day. It is put out by Doctor Who Talking Who, and you can find them on Twitter at Talking Who. And there is also something called the Arkle Times Post Dispatch News, which also occasionally recirculates our stories. Yeah. And that is put out by Brian Weber, and on the intertubes, he is sometimes known as Social Justice Scald. And if you go to Twitter, you can find him at Arkle. And he is also on Tumblr with the incorrect Star Trek Voyager quotes. Great fun, great entertainment, great education, just not great for work, so be warned.
Yep. And we want to give a shout out to the Lookie Show, the twins, Sasha and Dagmar. They are really a lot of fun. Check them out on Twitter at Lookie Show, and catch their YouTube show as Lookie Show. If you like old movies and good commentary, check it out.
Must give a special shout out once again to the Facebook group, The Gay Geek. You know, I'm continually making new friends on that group. There are just some of the most awesome people, and I really mean that. You know, and I'm sure some of you think, oh yeah, you're saying that because they let you run your show there.
No, there's some really neat people.
Not really.
And some
I mean,
good
there
content.
There is some really great stuff there. There's some good conversation and just some genuinely nice people. I really like visiting that page quite frequently. And they do have a special high moderator. His name is Jeremiah Reeves. And yes, he did give us his blessings to run our episodes there, and we are grateful for that. But that's beside the point. It's just simply a great group. So if you have a chance, and you don't have to be gay, just be cool. The page is facebook.com/groups/thegaygeek.
And if you're gay, that's fine too. Thanks,
too.
Jeremiah. And we want to give a big thank you to the person that nominated us for the Parsec Awards.
Oh,
we're still waiting.
We talked to Chuck last week, and we should be hearing something
soon. And for information on the Parsec Awards, go to parsecawards.com. Once again, thank you. And we want to remind you to occasionally click on one of our Amazon ads that we have at the bottom of our articles and on the right-hand side in the widgets. It doesn't cost anything, and you don't have to buy anything. It just tells Amazon that we are getting some traffic. And yes, I got the email from the Amazon associates that we still haven't made enough money to send it to us yet. We have to make $10 before
they can send us anything.
Before
so
they'll
it's,
send us
it's
anything.
sitting in a bank.
It's sitting in a bank. Our $2
in some Amazon bank right now.
Exactly.
How nice.
So thank you for your consideration. And lastly, please, please, please rate us on iTunes.
Regardless of where you listen to us, please rate us there, because the more people who rate us, especially if it's positive, but why would anybody rate us negatively? I can't imagine. But if you have something to say, please rate us there, because anytime someone does a search on iTunes for, geeky podcasts, well, guess what? Ours will kind of like rise close to the surface.
To the top.
That's right.
Flotsam and jetsam.
That's true.
Yep. All right. Up next time.
I have no idea.
Not a clue. We might have something else for Horrible Imaginings. You never know. We'll see. Okay, that should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. Be sure to check out the article for this webcast episode. We will have several links on the page. And remember, you can comment on our Facebook page or at tggeeks.com, or you can leave us a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. From TG Squared Studios, I am Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. I bid you peace.
Cheers.